The Huns began to straften, couldn't make it out at all. Especially when the tanks began the caterpillar crawl. And the tanks went on and they strolled along with an independent air. And their guns began to blare, and the Huns began to swear. But they pulled the trees up by the roots and made...
So, as darkness approached on the evening of 19th of November 1917, the tanks of B Battalion prepared to move from Dessau Wood, their hiding place, 6 kilometers up the road to the village of Villiers Plouich. To keep this movement as covert as possible, various measures were taken. The Air Force was tasked to fly across the area in an attempt to disguise the noise of the tanks. White tape was laid along the route to reduce the usage of a torch or other lights that may give the movement of the vehicles away, and also the tank crews were ordered only to move in low gear and with reduced revs along the whole distance. And considering the Mark IV tank on a good day, when it really wants to, could perhaps reach 4 miles an hour, that 6 kilometers it must have taken what seemed like an age to complete. I imagine there'd just be the driver and the 2 gearsmen actually in the tank, and the rest of the crew would either be sitting on top or walking next to the tank. This was to be the first mass tank attack in history. I think men of all ranks must have been apprehensive as to whether it would all work out okay or not. But on the other hand, this was their chance to prove themselves on their own terms. The top commander in the field, Brigadier General Ellis, I think he summed up the feelings of everyone when he wrote Special Order Number 6, which was to be read out to all ranks before the start of the battle. And it said, "Tomorrow the Tank Corps will have the chance for which they have been waiting for many months, to operate on good going in the van of the fight. All that hard work and ingenuity can achieve has been done in the way of preparation. It remains for unit commanders and tank crews to complete the work by judgment and pluck in the battle itself. In the light of past experiences, I leave the good name of the Corps with great confidence in their hands. I propose leading the attack of the Centre Division." That last sentence took many staff officers by surprise. In a modern war, it was almost unheard of for a staff officer to lead an attack from the front. But Ellis, he jumped into the exact centre tank of the attack, opened the top hatch and unfurled a flag of brown, red and green, advertising his presence even more really. The whole Tank Corps was committed to this battle, and indeed the future of the Tank Corps depended on the outcome. This act of comradeship from Ellis provided the vital inspiration for his men. So here we are in the sleepy village of Villiers Plouich, standing by the First World War Memorial. It's hard to think that the time of the First World War, this whole area, this whole village was just rubble. Civilians had long gone, perhaps halfway through 1914, and this village had unfortunately on the British front line and only 1,000 yards from the Hindenburg line. So it was tactically sound that it would just be flattened, and that is exactly what happened. If you look at the photographs that I'm going to be showing in this video, you'll see what the village was like before the war, one of the streets here, and then you can see a shot of the village as it was after the war. Just total rubble. And you know, you really, while making this film, you've really got to use your imagination to put yourself, if you like, in the zone of what it was like here during the First World War. Of course, you know, I'm driving along the streets and everything, but then there was no asphalt roads, it would all just be dirt roads really. And because the horse and cart was still the primary means of transport, of course. So yeah, you have to sort of put yourself in the zone in your mind when making films like this of actually what it was like at the time. So here we are on the northern side of the village. The British front line is just about here, going along this line here, and B Battalion would have been set up for 6 o'clock along a front of about 1,000 yards wide, starting on the left hand side with the Rivercourt Road, and on the right hand side the railway line. I'm actually standing where 6th Company would have started. Along the Rivercourt Road they would have had one section of 3 tanks go forward in column, and here they would have 2 other sections going in Harrowhead, moving forward towards the Hindenburg line, with infantry behind, and behind that initial wave of infantry there would be 1 section of tanks in support. So there's no actual records, personal memoirs of the men of 6th Company, what actually happened during this phase of the battle, but the official records show that 6th Company did in fact attack the Hindenburg line successfully. They rallied on the other side, ready for the next phase, and actually all the tanks made it, which was good, I think. So let's take a look where 5th Company were. So we've now moved across to the eastern side of the village, just north of the village, and so this is the location where 5th Company would have started from. As you can see, again the countryside, it goes up to a rise up to the top there, so when they formed up here they would not be in the sight of the Germans. Just over there you may be able to see it in the corner where those trees are. That was where their eastern flank would be. There's a railway line down there, and just behind me on this side is the sunken road, and that was the left flank of 5th Company, and they would be advancing going up the hill here. In this particular section, in this open section of ground, there'd actually be two sections of tanks, 6 tanks going up here. The a third section, they would actually be following the railway line in column, because further up, just over the ridge line, there's a wood, Coulier Wood, and that was an obstacle that they had to try and get over, so a change of tactics would be needed for that. The 4th section in the company, they would be following up behind the infantry, and they would be going in column along the open ground just to the west of the wood, and they provide fire support for the infantry when they were in the wood. I mean, even in them days, it was the early days of the tank, they understood that tanks going alone in a wood is not a good idea. Lieutenant Dolby, he was a tank commander of one of the tanks of 5 Company, advancing through this open country here. He was in tank B-23, and he actually recorded his experiences of that morning as follows. I was situated somewhere in the vicinity of Villiers Plouich, but did not know exactly where. I had my route marked on my map, and having no knowledge of the ground, had to rely entirely on my map. In addition, it would still be almost dark at 0 hour. About 8 minutes to 6 we started up the engine. 3 minutes later let in the clutch and commenced to advance. We had just got into no man's land when the barrage came down on the Hun front line. As we moved up the ridge, the enemy wire loomed into sight through the mist, and we could see the shells bursting in the still invisible German trenches. The B-23 crushed down its share of the Hun wire, which was very thick and about 100 yards wide, and opened fire on the trenches. We were received by a very feeble fire which died away immediately, and the front line system was secured. In crossing no man's land, my tank fell into a sunken road, which it was impossible to see, and rattled us considerably. Further, the shock loosened the shackles of the vaccine, which slipped over the front and there stuck, quite obscuring my view. This was very awkward, but we kept on with the help of the compass, and on reaching the front enemy trench, got rid of the vaccine by dropping it in and crossing over on top of it. Even more reduced visibility. Well, let's just have a look and see what their normal visibility was when they went into battle. So here we are. Imagine being close down in the tank, the engine revving away behind you, you're getting warmer, and you're actually advancing into battle. This is all that you would be able to see when you're close down. Not really a lot. So relying on your map and your compass, and you're going up, advancing across the ground. So you're pretty much blind really when you're going along here. Can't really see a lot. Here we go, let's go here, we're going to go across this way now. Right stick, advancing across the country, and remember, you're fighting for your life as well. You're trying to keep an eye on the colleagues with you, other tanks. Must have been absolutely crazy.